right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the place to opine, air your opinions. I'm sure you have a lot of them out there. Call the number. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Borders and Borders hotline, which is 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller with you tonight. And we have a lot to get into. There will be a Game 6 Friday night. But the big question, will Jacob Trouba be allowed to play in it? Chris, he has a history. He was suspended a couple of games for a hit on Mark Stone, but that was several years ago. He's had other near misses that weren't resulted in suspension time. Your take on that, because there were two different looks you had to really see, but it certainly was an elbow to the head, and when you go and target a head, especially with someone who has a suspension in his history, then I think there should be a follow-up suspension. You?
Yeah, I mean, I think he should get suspended. You said the big question is, will he play or not? The big question is, will Sidney Crosby play or not? And if he doesn't, then this series has taken a drastic turn in favor of the Rangers, despite them being down 3-2. I tried to withhold judgment on this hit until I kind of really saw it some more, thought about it some more. I thought maybe that first angle showed him hitting shoulder to shoulder, and then it looked awkward. But no. This was a blow to the head. That was the point of contact, whether he intended to or not. I think he did, by the way. I know I can't police somebody's intent, but we've seen teams try this before, Bob. He hit Sidney Crosby in the head. I'm not a doctor, but it sure looked like Crosby was concussed, right? If they're talking about him looking dazed. So the Rangers employed the tried and true NHL strategy. If you can't beat them up. Especially if it's a star player,
right.
Because the NHL really hates its star players. I'm sure George Peros is in the Department of Player Safety headquarters really mulling this one over hard. Suspend Trouba for a game, so what? The Rangers come out with a net positive here if Crosby doesn't play in Game 6.
And that's the problem. You got a lot of old school hockey guys who are responsible for what's going on with this discipline. And quite frankly, anytime you target anyone, it should be called. Number one, they didn't even call a penalty, and there was another hit earlier in the game where Crosby took a stick to the head. Nothing was called. These officials had an awful performance in a game that needed to be officiated correctly, and it wasn't. Right off the bat, 2 penalties on the Rangers, and I thought, man, the Penguins are going to set a tone here, and they didn't. Somehow they still got that lead, and then the injury, and then the Penguins fell apart defensively. A lot of people will say Crosby's departure meant this was going to be a loss. I'm not going to be one of those because that doesn't excuse the way the Penguins played in the next 2 minutes and 42 seconds, Chris. But this whole situation now, if it's a concussion given his history and if he's out for the rest of the series and the Rangers come back and win, it is a black eye for the NHL, big time.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. Also, I would agree with you, actually. I thought Mike Sullivan made a tactical error. He should have put Evgeny Malkin up with Gensel and Rust immediately. Mm-hmm. Jeff Carter got absolutely humiliated out there defensively. I thought that was a huge mistake and a misfire by Sullivan, who's usually really good. You could have even put Teddy Bluger up there, just somebody who offers more than what Carter was giving you in those situations, and there were 2 better candidates. It's just, I don't know, Bob, are you surprised? Like, I'm not. I'm really ticked off here. I'm angry. I'm fired up. I have a looming sense of dread, not just because the Penguins now feel almost like an underdog despite leading the series 3-2, but also because Crosby, who was playing unbelievable, sublime hockey, might have it cut short again by a head injury. Like, I'm bummed out, but the NHL doesn't care. And you know what? There are Rangers fans who are saying, oh, it was a clean hit. Well, you've got half the fans of this sport who can't get out of their own way and acknowledge when something's dirty. So I'll actually follow my own advice. If Trouba's suspended, you know who else should be? Evgeny Malkin. He cross-checked a guy in the face.
He did.
Right in front of the official. He played like a complete idiot for the last 20 minutes when they needed him to be great in Crosby's absence. He deserves to be suspended too. At least I can say it when my guy does something cheap for my team.
I thought
everybody
the same
else,
thing.
Crosby's a baby. Whoa, yeah. Come on.
Rooney just gave him a hit, and then he responded in kind with a shot to the face. He got penalized for it. It could have been worse. And, you're right. If they're going to look at these things as closely as I want them to, then all of that stuff is fair game. But you're right about Crosby also. The sad part about this, if he does miss time, he was dominating this series. He and Gensel together specifically, that whole first line. Gensel they have a chemistry that's hard to produce, and they've done it over years. And to see that be compromised because of some elbow to the face that should be penalized. But I got to tell you, Chris, as we go to break, we'll talk more about this and get calls. There are a lot of people I've been looking on Twitter who think that's a clean hit, or at least a hit that won't result in a suspension. And some of these are former NHL players, which always bugs me when I see it and hear it. All right, we got to take a break. We want your calls and opinions. Call us, 412-575-2600. We're on TV here on CW. We're on The Fan 93.7. We want to hear from you next right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.